Hello, and welcome to the Pragmatic Live podcast series, where we tackle the biggest challenges facing today's product management, product marketing, and other market and data-driven professionals with some of the best minds in the industry. I'm Rebecca Kalogeris, Vice President of Marketing at Pragmatic Institute, and your host for this episode. And today, I am thrilled to be joined by Div Manickam, Director of Portfolio Messaging for Dell Boomi. Welcome, Div.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm super excited to be here. Hi, everyone. My name is Div Manickam. I lead the portfolio messaging team, formerly known as Product and Solutions Marketing. And I'm excited to share the evolution that we have gone through in Boomi, a Dell Technologies business.
Great. Well, let's start with just a little context for our audience about what Dell Boomi is and what they do and how kind of your background brought you to this role.
Perfect. So Boomi, we recently went through our branding as well as part of our Boomi World Conference. And the role that I play and what Boomi does, we help our customers and our partners accelerate their business outcomes. So when you're thinking about technology, people, and processes and how to make all of those things work together, that's where we come in. So if you have legacy applications and you're wanting to move to the cloud or looking for the next step of digital transformation, bring us in and we can definitely help you achieve those business outcomes. We have an intelligent, flexible, and scalable platform as a service, and this is where integration is core to what we do, but we also support our customer use cases on master data governance, API management, B2B EDI management with trading partners, as well as Flow, which is our workflow automation and app development platform.
That's a big solution you guys have.
And hence the reason why we are renaming our work to portfolio messaging, because what we do is not just one product. We have 5 platform services and we support solutions as well as industries. And we have taken a consecutive decision of looking at 5 industries to start, but that's one of the evolutions of product marketing itself.
You know, and when we first started talking, what I found this so interesting because it's not unusual to compare product management and sort of portfolio management and talk about those and how they relate. But the idea of product marketing and portfolio marketing has so many parallels, but I hadn't really heard about it. Can you talk a little bit about how you made that transition and why you made the transition even in the name?
Sure. We have done 2 things. So when the team started 2 years ago, we were product marketing and we had solution marketing. And we were bringing the team together. So we renamed ourselves to say, hey, we are product and solutions marketing because that's what we did. And then quickly as the team grew, we started supporting our platform. So the 5 platform services that we have. We started supporting 5 industries, and we also supported the numerous solutions that is being derived from that platform. So we made 2 decisions, which was first to not call ourselves product anymore. We are supporting portfolio needs for the organization. And then second, to not just call ourselves marketing and actually be laser focused on where we provide value to the organization. So the challenge that we were having is and one of the changes that we had as an organization was also for our team to be as part of the product organization as compared to a marketing organization. And these were critical because we started realizing that 90% of the teams that we work with are with the product management team. If you look at it as a circle of life, right? Portfolio messaging and what we do is at its center and core, and we support product, marketing, sales, business development, right? The partner ecosystem, as well as even the services and the professional services, the customer support, customer success, all of those teams. So everything that we do at its center, and that's why we started defining what our disciplines are. And we wanted to make sure these disciplines were data-driven as well. So at our core, 90% of our focus needs to be on messaging and positioning. If we can get that piece done right, then everything else is a subsequent conversation. So whether you're thinking about product and solution launches, whether you're thinking about buyer persona or audience growth, competitive intelligence, market presence, platform solution adoption, or industry growth, these are all part of what we do on a day-to-day basis. And everything that we do then feeds into respective teams. So you can think about the marketing team, and the team interlocks with integrated marketing campaigns, content development. You can think about the interlocks with sales enablement. You can think about cross-functional initiatives that happen. So all of these things started working together, and that's why we look at ourselves as that central point, working with product, sales, marketing, and services to kind of expand that. So if you were to look for like one statement of how we define portfolio messaging, we translate Boomi's business objectives, market opportunities, and the portfolio of offerings into a cohesive, audience-centric buyer's journey. And that mapping happens because our team is the voice of the market, and we listen to our buyer persona needs. And we're delivering that insight across Boomi organization.
So when you think about portfolio, it's not just the collection of solutions. It's really about addressing the problem of a specific persona in whatever collection of solutions that takes. So very persona centric.
Exactly. So if we have a tagline, the way we look at ourselves and what we do is we are market driven and persona led, right? If a company or any organization says, hey, we are a platform and we can solve everybody's problems, that is true. But then that means we are not laser focused. That means that we are not channeling all of our efforts. And so we quickly realize that if we are not all aligned, right? So product, sales, and marketing, if we don't have that alignment and have those priorities locked down, then we could all be doing 10 different things. And those 10 different things would give us an output of 1x. But if we were all focused on one or two things, then we could actually amplify that to a 10x result. And so that's where we are working on bringing that alignment across the organization.
Oh, I love that. Market-driven and persona-led. Love it. So as you've shifted sort of the positioning of your own group, how does that affect kind of where in the organization you sit? Or does it affect where in the organization you sit and how you interact?
For sure. So we looked at it as two lenses. First was role clarity, right? When I asked the product organization, their immediate reaction to what we do is, oh, you are marketing. So you are responsible for prettying up presentations. Can you create a collateral or a solution brief? And then can you update websites of primarily some of the responsibilities that they think we do? If you ask the marketing team on the other side, their reaction is, oh, your product. So you are responsible for giving product updates to analysts. You are responsible to help with sales enablement. And then at its core, can you just take all these complex features that we have and simplify those so they are more value-based outcomes? And that was the crux of why we started kind of thinking about, okay, where do we really provide value? And if our team's job is to help position our products and our solutions in different industries and for different personas, then I think it's upon us to also think about where is the value that we provide and how are we differentiating ourselves in the market. And so we looked at that as an exercise to say, okay, where do we spend 90% of our time? And 90% of the time that we spend is with the product management group, right? And that's why being as part of the product organization was critical, because if we didn't have alignment with what our product management counterparts were doing or where their focus and priorities were, then it didn't matter what we wanted to do on the marketing side, because we didn't do a good job of bringing that value out in the market. And so that's where even Boomi took on that initiative to say, okay, PMs and PMMs need to be better aligned, bring them into product. But that doesn't mean that we don't work with marketing. That doesn't mean that we don't work with sales. My thought process is we could sit in any organization within the company, because the reality is we work with everybody, right? There isn't one team in the company that we don't talk to on a regular basis. And so that's kind of the ecosystem that we are in. And so when we look at that, it's primarily product, second comes marketing, third is sales. If we figure out that aspect and bring that cross-functional alignment, then we're all marching towards the same goals. And then we can actually achieve the results that we want. And then we can work with customer success and business development and kind of build that momentum from there.
Well, and I do think in so many ways, product management and product marketing are just two sides of the same coin. And if they're aligned, then if they're aligned in a lot of ways, the company's aligned, right? Because they're the hub, and all those spokes that reach out to the different groups then are on one page.
That is exactly right. And that's also one of the reasons why we selectively chose the word portfolio messaging, right? At our core, and we can call this portfolio messaging and positioning, if you will. But at our core, if we get that messaging and positioning done right, because in the past 2 years that I've taken on this role, 9 out of 10 times, anybody reaching out to me, whether it's pre-sales or whether it's sales, account execs, or even the partner teams, right? The partner marketing teams, the question that they ask me is, hey, we are working with X. Can you build a messaging and positioning for Boomi with X? And if I cannot answer that question, and if I cannot take the time to do the due diligence and the research to better understand that synergy, then everything else that I do after that doesn't really matter, because I'm painting a high level picture. And our job, and the reason why product marketing exists in this industry, is so that we can go one level deep from the marketing folks, right? Because there is a variation of how you think about marketing itself. There is partner marketing, there's field marketing, there's demand generation. There are so many aspects of it. And one of the interesting articles that I was reading recently was about having a product-led growth. And we are driving this also in Boomi, where we are looking at having PQLs as part of our funnel, so that we're not just thinking about MQLs, but also as PQLs. So if you look at SaaS and the way the industry has evolved, right, like there's a huge change in business models. And the number one reason why customers are with us are because they love our product and they love the experience that they have with us. And so when we think about being product-led, this is our opportunity to kind of shape that in the organization, shape that across in the industry, and kind of bring those aspects together. So think about customer lifetime value and what that means, right? It's no more, yes, you actually close an opportunity and now you have a customer that wants to leverage your platform or your tool, but now you're saying the value that I'm going to get from these customers are 3 to 5 years down the line. So I'm invested in the customer just as the customer is invested in me. And that's a shift that is going to change how we function. So if you think of product as part of an experience, right? When you think about customer experience, the change that's going to happen is product is the experience. So end to end, your customer journey is when the customer looked at the product and when they actually gain value from the product. So they're like tightly integrated, and there's that stickiness factor that we can see. And it's our responsibility to get that message and positioning out there in the market.
So you talked a little bit about tracking PQLs and tracking LTV. Are there other metrics or kind of KPIs that have shifted as you've gone to this more broader view?
A good question. So there are two aspects that we look at, right? If increasing that customer lifetime value is important for us, then we should be thinking about platform adoption. So how are we measuring platform adoption? And this means we have 5 platform services, and out of that, even if customers are leveraging 2 of those services, how are we driving that? The second aspect is looking at industries and industry penetration. So we have 5 industries that we are focused on. And as we drive more momentum into those industries, are we seeing an increase in industry penetration? And then are we also seeing an increase in new buyer personas we have never seen before in our market?
What have you seen shift at Dell Boomi as you guys have started to evolve the product marketing, or as now portfolio messaging organization?
The shift has been primarily being more product-centric, actually driving product conversations more than the product as part of an experience. So when we look at product launches, this was something that was important for us this year, right? Once we got our messaging and positioning nailed down, we wanted to look at product launches and actually define what a product launch meant. 9 out of 10 times, we have had people say, we just, and we have a monthly release, right? So folks would say, oh, you just had a release, so that's a launch. And if you have a monthly release and December is the only month we don't release, then you have 11 launches. And then we have had folks where they say, you just had an announcement, so that's a launch. And we had to retrain ourselves and re-educate the organization to say, those are all milestones of a launch. When we think about a launch, it could be a 6 months duration, it could be a 2-year duration. So some of our tier 1 launches, we had a pre-announcement last year. We went GA with the features this year. We had an early adopter program. And then we actually talked about going GA as an announcement this year. And then we'll be tracking and measuring post-launch success metrics to look at it again into next year and see how we have gained customer adoption, how we have drove platform more cross-sell, upsell opportunities, and all of those things became important to us. And that's where even up-leveling our conversation and actually becoming more strategic in our thought process was important. And that's the shift that we are seeing in Boomi. And I believe even across the organization, across different teams, where they're starting to see more and more value from just the thought process and how we are thinking about frameworks and ideation, right? Like we actually have a conversation with Dave Daniels next week to look at our first launch and see, have we been doing justice with how we've been thinking about launches, whether it's the tiers that we have, whether it's the risk factors that we should account for in these, and what type of launches, right? Not every launch is treated the same way. So super excited to actually have those conversations with Dave next week. But that is where we are today, and we're driving some of those.
And I know Dave is definitely looking forward to going out and working on that lab with your team. So if someone was looking to make this change within their organization, is there 1 or 2 pieces of advice and even maybe lessons learned as your journey has gone on that you would share?
For sure. I think it's also a matter of, we never have enough resources, right? There's a lot that we can do. So prioritization and focus is critical. As a first-time leader for me, it was important to build and empower a high-performing and mindful team. We grew about 3x from 2017 to 2019. So we have 12 team members today. And each of us have our own areas of expertise. So it's easy for us to kind of go into our area of expertise and kind of say, okay, that's what I want to do. I'm going to get it done. We forget quickly that there are other teams that we are working with, and they might not have grown at that same scale. So making sure that we are laser focused, that we have one of the things that we did in Boomi was we said, yes, we have maybe 10 buyer personas across the board, but let's focus on the 5. And across sales, business development, across the whole inside sales, across sales engineering, let's all build our stories for those 4-5 buyer personas. And we actually have names for those buyer personas. So they're real people that we talk about in our meetings. We're not just saying, hey, CIO, we are saying, Marta, our CIO, has this as their problem. How are we helping them, right? So those become part of our day-to-day conversations. And the main part is making sure we have that product sales and marketing alignment. Because if we don't have that, then it doesn't matter what you do, what content you build, how much launches you are putting out there, because you can always do a launch from the marketing standpoint, right? But you also have to bring other team members in. This is where you bring this is one area where you would start bringing other team members. And we looked at it across the board to say our buyer personas are our step 1. Our messaging and positioning is our step 2. And then we'll be ready to actually think about product launches, because then I have a better sense of what I'm launching, when would these customers actually care about the things that I'm trying to launch, and help position that in that light. So that was critical for us. So as we started defining the teams and when to bring those different teams in as part of those launches was super helpful, because then they started realizing, okay, we are part of the solution. We are not just being brought because they want to launch, and I'm getting visibility in this way up front. The second aspect was us bringing the different teams together and actually doing customer research, right? Customer and market research. Because as you go in, and we're all going into FY 2020 planning, and everyone's thinking about what's next. Where is the market evolving? So always think about bringing market research into whatever you're trying to do, whether it's content development, whether it's the next set of solutions that you want to build together. Look at where the market's going and ask the questions of what is the industry asking for? What are our customers looking for? What are the things that we haven't really thought about? And this is a great opportunity. And I highly recommend everyone to be thinking about those aspects as you think about 2020 planning.
All right, Div, this was an outstanding conversation. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to hear about the journey at Dell Boomi to portfolio messaging, and I do hope that you'll come back sometime and share as you guys continue to evolve and progress, and we can all learn from your learnings along the way.
For sure. And one closing comment, right? Everything is always on fire, and everyone's project is a priority. So our job, we have always been filling in the holes, and now it's our time to actually step back, identify what the top cross-functional priorities are, and then help drive revenue, help drive sales opportunities, and allow our team, the portfolio messaging team, to focus on messaging and positioning. So you can actually leapfrog the market as compared to just keeping to your day-to-day. And one thing that has helped us is maintaining those objectives and key results. And we have been socializing OKRs so that there is transparency into where our time is going, where our efforts are, and we basically have it posted on the wiki. So leverage frameworks that are out there. Pragmatic has some really great frameworks to help you not have to think about, okay, where do I get started? But it's up to you to prioritize which ones do you want to work on. So thank you so much, Rebecca. I truly enjoyed this conversation, and I'm looking forward to talking to you in the next session.
Great. And I think that's such a good point. In product marketing, we are always under fire. There's always something we need to be doing. And if all that urgent, it's sometimes easy to miss the important. Mm-hmm. And if we prioritize that, it really makes a difference. So, yep. All right. Thank you, Div. All right. That does it for today's episode. Thanks everyone for listening. And don't forget to join us next week when we tackle another great topic designed to help you elevate your product, your company, and your career.